Count your turn. So in Queens over the past, let's call it 10 years, we've had a number of elected officials arrested, many imprisoned, some still in prison. What will you do if you're elected, and when you're elected, what do you do to make sure that your office is as transparent and open, I've heard that a couple of times, to your constituents? How do you make sure that constituents know exactly what you're doing once you're elected? And we could start with Mr. Fuchs.
Obviously, you're referring to legal activity, because the illegal activity is going to be under the table anyway, right? Right? Yeah,
I mean, yes, but if you just if I'm going to pick one case out of off the top of my head, Shirley Huntley had a nonprofit that was getting money from the state, and then that ended her up in a little bit of trouble. So my question to you, and it's a broad question, how do you make your office transparent? In general, I would hope that all your activities would be transparent, but how do you make your office transparent to your constituents? How do you keep them informed of what you're doing on a daily basis, where your member allocations go, that kind of thing?
I don't know why this should be so complicated in the world of politics. Right now, when we're candidates, we have to account for every penny that we spend on campaign finance. I mean, you know, every deadline comes around and you have to fill in that report. If Shirley Huntley is being financed from a nonprofit, I mean, yeah, that nonprofit, whatever money, sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking like a concrete example on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. What will you do as an assembly member to keep your constituents informed of what you're doing?
There has to be a system. It's not just a matter of one person, what they're doing. There has to be a system where, yeah, every transaction that goes that comes from your office, what you're funding, who's donating or has a business with your department, has to be transparent. Has to be documented.
Right. So let's say an interest group comes into your Albany office and says, "I want to meet with you," and it's a group that supports hydrofracking. Will you put on your website, "I met today with the pro-hydrofracking lobby of America," or will you not tell your constituents that? How open would you be with your constituents?
Well, to meet with a lobby is just a matter of being educated. In theory, it shouldn't matter whether you're reading a book or whether you're meeting a person. In each case, you're being educated about a certain aspect of the world that you're trying to legislate. But in terms of activity, yes, any activity that you do, any monies going back and forth should be documented.
Okay, that's fair. Ms. Rose?
Clearly, my opponent doesn't actually know how an office functions. You, first and foremost, to have an open and transparent office, have to believe in open and transparency, not only in your Albany office, but in your district office as well. That means having a mobile office, that means having staff available in native languages to address constituent needs. That means having hotlines available 24/7, whether you have a housing issue or an immigration issue. Those are things that I would do as an assemblywoman. We haven't had member items at the state level in the past couple of cycles, but if they were to come back, you know, I believe in participatory budgeting, having open hearings, hearing from different organizations throughout the community about what the priorities are, addressing them with the input of the local community. You know, in terms of meeting with folks, Senator Gillibrand has posted all of her meetings online. That's definitely an interesting proposal. I've never actually seen anyone do it in Albany, and that's definitely something to take into consideration. I would always have my office open. you know, as often as we can. And I really, like I mentioned before, I believe in mobile office. Like if you can't make it to Union Turnpike and Utopia Parkway, you should have a mobile office that comes to you at least once a month, if not more. Those are some of the proposals that I would do as an assemblywoman, ones that I've worked on as a chief of staff and would continue to do so.
Sure.